Hi, everyone. Welcome to Kathleen's Interviews by Kathleen. And this is Stephen Nebgen, a friend of mine that I have made through the film industry. But he is also an author and a incredible speaker. And he's going to be doing both things for us come August. He is going to be speaking about entertainment law, and he's also going to be sharing about his book at the book festival. And so we're going to cover both of those things. But Stephen, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? Um, what got you interested in law?
Well, all of this is a little bit of a long story. I mean, I was born in a log cabin in a small town in Texas. No, not really. Um, but started writing at a very early age. My mom was literary. My grandfather on my mother's side and my grandmother on my mother's side were both writers and actually big newspaper. Well, my grandfather owned a small newspaper, was it Port Arthur? And so anyway, though, I was continuing to write, and then I branched out into producing, and I've got over 30 credits, a lot of it in third theater and Broadway. One of my claims to fame is I gave Jack Black his New York theatrical debut. And then I met a beautiful woman named Jill, and she loved that I was show business, and that's so great. I love you, sweet. That's so wonderful. How sexy. Now get a job. Oh, okay. So she talked the talk and walked the walk, and I went back to Fordham, got my undergraduate degree, went down to Texas, got my law degree, and the big reason why was I moved. I still continued to produce, but why law? I was the assistant general manager on a major Broadway play called Lettuce and Lovage, starred Sir Dame Maggie, or not Sir Dame Maggie Smith. And I looked at the budget, and without revealing too much, but it was six figures. And I said, hey, okay, I can get a job, and be in the industry. So went down, got my law degree, and then started practicing entertainment law. And as well as continuing, and then I'm a professor of entertainment law and then also a writer.
Now, I've got a question about the entertainment law because I know it. Do you specifically teach just for Arizona and work just for Arizona, or do you work across the United States?
Well, first of all, I'm licensed in both New York and Arizona. And second of all, though, regarding transactional work, yes, I can help people in other states. The big deal about being licensed in a certain state is that you can go to court. That's
Uh,
really the big thing. But to help negotiate a contract between somebody in Nashville and LA, or even Arizona and LA, I can take care of that.
it's, it seems like it would be a very small um, field, or like we look at genres as an author, you look at genres too,
Mhm.
and the smaller the genre or the tighter it is, sometimes the harder it is to get recognized, or you get recognized quicker. But how does are you? To me, it seems like you'd be awfully busy, and how you would have
Um,
time to teach, I don't know.
well, I'll tell you, out of all the things that I do, producing is first, teaching is second, doing the law is third. And
Okay.
I spend my time a little bit like that. So I do get a lot of, clients and things calling me up, and I take, but I work all three of those um, concurrently.
Okay.
Um, but again, my big thing is my book. We're turning it into an animated Christmas special. And then my second big thing is I'm a professor of entertainment law at the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences. And then I'm in entertainment law. And so if they took law away from me, my pocketbook would hurt. If they took away teaching, my heart would hurt. If they took away producing, my life would hurt. I'm done. That's the core, producing and writing. All the rest of it is kind of just part and parcel. That's why I went into the law, was that I said, hey, I could, stay in the business, make money, and, have a nice life with now, unfortunately, my wife passed away. But, between the three of them, I cobbled together a nice life.
Mm-hmm. What brought you to write your book? And it's a children's book, isn't it?
That's correct. And I just mentioned I was married to a beautiful woman, helped me go to school, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she passed of ovarian cancer.
Ooh.
While she was being treated and, going through treatment and everything, of course, I had to take care of a lot of the parenting. And what was one of the big things was tucking the kids in at night.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, what did I do? Read stories. Okay. In particular, Pooh. That's real close to me and my children's heart. We love Pooh. Then the second part was F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote a rather famous essay called The Crack Up. And it had kind of three installments in it, but there are two big things that he says in it. The first is some of his two most famous quotes. The first is, there are no second acts in America. Wrong. There's nothing but second acts.
Mm-hmm.
People go down and come back. That's one of the beauties of America. We can fail and still come back. So I didn't like that. And then the second thing that he says in the essay is, Scott, I am like a cracked plate. You'll never bring me out for the special occasions. You'll never bring me out at Christmas. All I'm going to be good for is cheese and crackers at midnight. No.
Yeah.
People are broken, come back together. And again, how many times, a classic, you break your arm, you break a bone, it comes back, it's actually stronger, right? Mm-hmm. So between those two things, I wanted to write a children's story, partly in honor of my wife, and then partly to counter the fact that something broken is useless. No, it's not. And I don't want to get too, but I went through heavy drinking, certain things. I was broken. I quit. I came back, and I have a good life. Mm-hmm. So those two things were what I wanted to address in Theodore's Plate. That's the name of the book.
I think that's a wonderful lesson.
And then Theodore's Plate is the first book in a larger series called Theodore's Journey. And I've got about 10 books planned. Mm-hmm. And each book focuses on a kernel of a basic truth. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, Theodore's Plate is generosity. Not to spoil it, but through a simple act of generosity from Theodore, the young boy, to this traveler who's caught in a storm. As a result of that little thing, all kinds of stuff opens up for that young boy and that family. So that's Theodore's Plate, generosity. Then the second one is Theodore's Falcon. And then that one, patience. He wants to start playing with the falcon right away. And the falcon literally, right, grabs him by the ear. You know, this is not a toy. These things can hurt you, right? Falcons are, they're not, they're not toys,
No,
right?
no, they're
And
not.
so, uh, the second one, Theodore has to learn patience because he has to learn to train the falcon, so on and so forth. And then the third one is Theodore's friend, and we introduce Jamila, the daughter of the falconer. The falconer is a Moor, Muslim.
Hmm.
And so we bring a little diversity into it.
Hmm.
Let me tell you, there's going to be DEI in this series. The orange man can do whatever he wants to do. Sorry about the politics, but we will be bringing in diversity,
Hmm.
you know, those kind of things. And that book three is the beginning of that. And so the falconer that teaches Theodore is Muslim, is a Moor. And of course, his daughter, Jamila, is a Moor. And Jamila and Theodore start to develop a friendship. At first, they're a little bit headbutt because the father falconer is spending so much time with Theodore.
Oh yeah,
Jamila gets a little, so
jealous.
they kind
Yeah.
of butt heads a little bit, and then
Yeah.
after a while, Theodore starts going, you know what? This girl knows what she's talking about. I might listen to her. So we get a little bit of equality and a little bit of diversity. So that's just some of the first books and the overarching concept of Theodore's journey, and the first is Theodore's plate.
Well, I am so excited that you're going to have it there. We're having a kids corner. So you can actually, I believe, schedule time with our head of that. And you know her, Stephanie Borders.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, she's heading that up. But they're also got plans to have, if the kids are too small to read themselves, then read to them, and then have them draw out a play and then enact it.
Oh,
So we're hoping to have such a diversity of entertainment for the kids that it also goes to the parents, which all comes out of books, all comes out of reading and discovering that. So what you have with Theodore is going to be perfect.
well,
And
great.
I'm so glad you're going to be there with us. And about, so many people have no clue of anything about the law of entertainment.
And
Pe-
publishing is part of entertainment.
yes, it is, and they can get their socks ripped off.
Absolutely.
It's such a sad thing. I showed you that one book that I have, but nobody else that I know of is going to be producing anything.
Hmm.
And we know the laws change as things change because we're human beings. We
Right.
never are stagnant. Um, but to have something, anything, the wisdom that I got out of that book was number one, you need to find somebody who's in entertainment law because
Yes.
when you sign any kind of heavy contract, especially with a major company, if I wasn't a self published and I was going for being published, or if somebody wanted to make a movie of
Hmm.
one of my books,
Hmm.
um, trust me, I'd be knocking on your door.
Very good. And again, I want to emphasize on entertainment attorney. There's a lot you were mentioning. Well, it's kind of rarefied area. Yes, and yet people both sides, lawyers and civilians, believe that lawyers, oh, I can fall out of bed and do entertainment law. Oh, no, they can't. They have no idea of the nuances, and they leave thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars on the table. Second, civilians think that entertainment is easy. Fall out of bed, write a song. Fall out of bed, write a book. And on both of them, I have to say, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so, a big one to me, yes, look for somebody who has experience in entertainment
Mhm.
and not just intellectual property. Right now, there's things going on, and a lot of them are being listed under intellectual property. Well, you look at what they do, nothing to do with entertainment. It's intellectual property for trademark for some business. It's, this or that. It has very little to do with movie, song, right? So make sure that you do get somebody who says that they're in, well, not says, but you got to look and see what they've actually done. And if you
Mhm.
look at many attorneys, oh, handled patent. So yeah, that's intellectual property. It has nothing to do with entertainment, not unless you devise a new camera or something like that, you know.
Mhm.
See how much trademark they've done and things, and then see if copyright comes up. And so a lot of people claim to do it. Dig a little deeper.
What's a good way to do research to find um, for somebody who's listening right now
Yeah.
to this? Say they're up in Canada or in
hmm
Washington State or
hmm
Florida.
hmm
What's the best way for them to go about searching to find somebody
Well,
who practices entertainment law?
right. The first thing is to check that state bar.
Okay.
So look at Florida, put in the state bar who does entertainment law. Now, they might not list entertainment law, and again, it'll be intellectual property, and we kind of get lumped with those guys. But there is really some big distinctions between doing intellectual property for Apple versus doing international, or excuse me, doing entertainment law for Universal. Those are two different worlds. And yet, us guys will be lumped together.
Okay.
So look at their client list. Look at what they list as being things that they've done. Look at a big one. I just said it. Look at their client list. If their client list is a bunch of companies of which no connection to show business, pass.
Okay.
So look and see, like if you go on my website, you'll see that I've got a lot of entertainment clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very clear. I do copyright and trademark in the entertainment industry. So that would be, so check with the local bar. And if
Mm-hmm.
you find some people, dig a little bit deeper, see if they've really done entertainment, not just intellectual property. A lot of people, in particular patents, a lot of people get lumped under none, and that would have nothing to do with us.
Okay. When somebody becomes a narrator for a book, does that
hmm
turn it more into entertainment
Well,
or
the
is
book
it
right off the bat, book
it,
publishing is part of the entertainment
yeah,
industry. So
yeah.
right off the bat. Now, if somebody does an audio book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I did, we've got an audio book. And so I paid a recording engineer and then I actually read it. So I didn't have to. But then here's another thing that is copyrightable. So we filed the copyright on that.
Okay.
So, again, a lot of people don't realize that, well, it's called derivative works. And
Okay.
a book is a perfect example. And I tell my clients and I tell my students, derivative work, think of a book as the trunk of a tree. Then that book gets turned into a movie. That's a branch off the tree. That branch is a derivative work. Now, only the author of the book can do that. Okay. I'm just think I've got a little bit too. That's a little bit better. Um, and so Stephen King writes a book. Stephen King is the only person who can turn it into a movie. Anybody else wants to do it, they got to come and talk to Stephen, and it's bucks. And I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you that Stephen King, the rights to do one of his books and turn it into a movie is probably between 5 and 10 million bucks.
Good gracious.
Yep. Now,
Ooh.
a smaller unknown, maybe the initial price might be 100,000, 250,000, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends. One of my
Okay.
Nebgenisms is your bargaining position is determined by your market position. Okay. Music, Taylor Swift gets a deal that Taylor Slow does not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In books, Stephen King gets a deal that Stephen Peasant does not. Right. Your market position determines, your leverage. So it
Yeah.
all depends. Like for me with Theodore, if we can, well, right now we have some. I don't want to get too, but we're in six. Well, we're in seven figures as a budget, right around mill, which is good for animation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so uh, that would be our price range. I ain't Stephen King, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So so
But it's kind of a circle of life. Um, you start out small, somebody buys it for a couple 100,000, then the next one comes in at 1 million, and then
that
it goes up and up and up
that's
as you circle around.
And that's, again, one of my Nebgenisms is that you're always being paid for your last project.
Mm-hmm.
Good example for me, for me in the sense of, that principle, John Travolta. John Travolta had a nice start to his career, made money, then he goes down and he gets into Pulp Fiction, which he does for almost next to nothing. His next film, though, he gets 10 mil.
Mm-hmm.
That 10 mil is based off of Pulp Fiction. You're always kind of getting paid for your last thing. And then if it's a dud, your pay goes down. If it's a hit, your pay goes up on the next one,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, you're always kind of being paid for your last gig.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing with books because once somebody likes your
Mm-hmm.
books, then they
Mm-hmm.
are, because I know I scour for my favorite authors. I just keep looking and looking and looking. When is that next book supposed to be coming out?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember cussing underneath my breath as I go in to a store and I buy a book and it takes me 3 hours to read and it takes them a year or more to produce back then when I was a teenager. And I used to get so mad saying, I want it now. I just
Yeah.
finished
Oh,
that one, so I
I
want it
know.
now.
That's me. I almost kind of don't buy the first one. If I know there's more coming, I wait until they're all out and then I go get them all.
Oh, I
Just
get
like
impatient.
just like and one of the good things about technology is that you can stream episodes now.
Hmm.
So I love it. I
Oh
won't
yeah.
mess I like for example, Yellowstone. Haven't watched a
Hmm.
minute of it because I don't want to get caught into it
Uh-huh.
so I'll wait until it's all together and then 2 days I'll be in Montana, you
Yeah,
know.
we did that with Dark Skies
Yes,
because
I
we
love, by
re
the way, I love Hillerman. He is
oh
one of my favorite authors. And I'm a little mixed feelings about Dark Winds because I think they're getting a little bit soap opera-y. And
I
it
hope not. Oh.
that's not that's not Hillerman.
Mm.
And Chi, is the main character. I don't see Chi being the same. I don't see the personality that I get from Hillerman's books. I don't see in the character of Chi in
Ah.
Dark Winds.
See,
He's
I don't see Chi as the main character. I see the lieutenant as the main
well,
character.
I'm Leaphorn. That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Leaphorn. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chi is a little bit closer to the book, but Leaphorn is supposed to be kind of a quiet, stoic, truly Native American kind of wise elder. And I don't see that in Leaphorn in Dark Winds. Um,
Yeah.
he's a little bit darker, more
Hmm.
emotional, like in Leaphorn would almost never, right, lose his temper. And of course, one of the big things for me with Leaphorn was that he loses his wife. And that's, with me having lost my wife, that really strikes home. So
Yeah.
when he has those scenes where he goes and she's not around, and that really struck
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. That would. And if somebody is, he's never lived alone, I don't think, and now
Yeah,
he's having to live alone,
exactly.
and that's a
And
demon in
after
itself.
decades, right? They were married 30 years, kind of
Hmm.
40 years type thing.
Yeah. 30
So,
years.
so, but yes, that was a real loss for me as an author, but that's very much the same thing. I kind of read the first one. I knew I was hooked. I knew there was others out there, and I just waited, and then I got the whole, can't see it, but I've got the whole chunk of Hillerman right over here.
Yeah. I This has been so fun, Stephen, picking your brain and looking inside your brain box at all your ideas and your thought processes and what you have uh, set up for Theodore. Now, Theodore, his stories are going to be geared for what age group?
4 to 8. Young,
4 to 8.
yeah. Get them
Okay.
young. Get them reading a book instead of a god dang iPad.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Now, again, I don't even mind that. Just get them to read.
exactly. Exactly. I I can remember reading with my father when I was a child. Now
Hmm.
it was more religious stuff, but we were up at 6 o'clock in the morning and all of us, I mean, I was reading things like omnipresence and stuff like that before I went into kindergarten. So, and I know my granddaughter does that with my great grands
Hmm.
because her oldest one went to kindergarten for 2 weeks and then he was in first grade because he was so far advanced.
Yep, yep.
So,
I went to a parochial school, and and then I went to a public high school, and when I got to high school, I was so far ahead that I just coasted.
yeah.
The parochial system was just so much more rigorous. By the
Hmm.
time I got to public school, it was nothing,
Yeah.
you know. Then I went to Fordham. Now we were back to, you know, we gotta work. We
Hmm.
gotta work. But yeah, uh,
But
that early education, it means so much.
it does. And what they learn at home or in preschool or whatever the parents can do, if both parents have to work and they to check out that school and make sure that the kids are getting the attention. I know it's challenging, but they need that attention. They need that individual reading. They need that um, recognition. I know my husband and I were careful to do that with our children too.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they're both readers. They're both, my son wants to be a writer. I want him to be, he wants to
Oh,
be one so bad. Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah. But I am so tickled. And ladies and gentlemen, you This has been such a excellent interview with Stephen. I'm hoping that you will put it on repeat because you will learn something every time you listen. Trust me, you won't get it all
Or
in
spark
one.
questions. Or spark
Yes.
questions. That's also a biggie.
Yeah,
I might make a comment and he goes, "What did he say?" Or "What does that mean?" Get a hold
exactly.
of me.
Yeah. And at the end
Oh,
of
and look for
this,
me at the
at the
book fair.
festival,
Yeah,
yes.
book festival.
And at the end of this video, there's going to be a thing come up with ways for you to contact Stephen if you need advice, if you need a referral or anything like that. He is available and he's a joy to work with. Trust me.
Well,
I
thank
know.
thank you
And
very much. The
thank
check's
you,
in the
Steve.
mail, Kathleen.
Goodbye, everyone. Until next time.
Good night, or goodbye, everybody.